A senior traveler stood in a security line for nearly 40 minutes, tired, uncomfortable, slowly inching forward, not knowing one simple request could have changed the entire experience. And that's the real problem. A lot of seniors struggle through airports thinking, this is just how travel is now, when in reality, there are rights, assistance options, and protections available that almost nobody clearly explains. You don't hear them announced, you don't see them posted, and if you don't know to ask, you go without them. So in this video, we're going through 10 forgotten travel rights seniors can use, including the quiet airport option that can spare you a stressful security experience. The in-between gates help most people never think to request, and the one right near the end that explains why so many older travelers keep making airports harder than they need to be. Because once you see these, you'll start realizing how many trips could have been easier. Before we continue, like and subscribe to Fly Smart for simple travel tips like this, especially if you want to avoid problems and make travel easier over time. 10. You can ask for help even after you arrive. A lot of people think airport assistance has to be arranged days in advance, and if you forgot to request it, that's it. You missed your chance. That's exactly why so many seniors end up dragging themselves through huge terminals, stopping every few minutes, trying to just manage, because they assume it's too late now. It usually isn't. If walking long distances is becoming difficult, if your legs are already tiring, if the gate changed and now it feels much farther than expected, you can still ask for help after arriving. At check-in, near security, even closer to the gate. That matters because airport discomfort often doesn't fully hit at home. It hits when you're already inside the machine. And once that starts, most people don't think to change the plan. They think they have to push through it. You don't. That's the hidden difference here. Airports keep moving in their standard rhythm unless you interrupt that rhythm and ask for something different. And when you do, the experience can change fast. But what happens at security is where many seniors quietly suffer for no reason. 9. You can ask for a private screening. Security is where a lot of older travelers start feeling the trip slip out of their control. Shoes off, bags up, line moving, instructions coming quickly, people behind you waiting. Even if nobody says hurry up, the pressure is there, and that pressure tricks people into thinking they have no options. But if standing for a long time is hard, if the public setup feels stressful, if you need more time, you can ask for seated screening, added time, or a more private screening option. Most seniors never do because they assume the visible setup is the only setup. So they stay uncomfortable, stay quiet, and try to keep pace with a process that was already working against them. That's what makes this so frustrating. The harder the moment becomes, the less likely people are to speak up. And yet, this is exactly when speaking up matters most. Because security only looks rigid from the outside. The moment you understand it can be adjusted, the whole experience changes. You stop feeling processed and start feeling accommodated. This is where a lot of trips quietly go wrong, not because help doesn't exist, but because discomfort gets mistaken for normal. 8. You do not need to look disabled to ask. This one stops a lot of people before they even start. Many seniors think, I'm not in a wheelchair, or I don't have a visible condition, or other people probably need help more than I do. So they say nothing. They keep carrying, walking, waiting, standing, and the airport keeps treating them like everything is fine. But airports don't run on mind reading. They run on requests. If something is difficult for you, that matters. If long standing creates strain, if walking distances are becoming harder, if the pace is too much, that is enough reason to ask. You do not need to look the part before you say something. And this is where so many people lose before the trip even settles in. They wait to be noticed. They wait for the airport to recognize what they're dealing with. It usually won't. The system responds to what is said, not what is silently endured. That one shift in mindset is huge. The moment you stop waiting to qualify in someone else's eyes, you start using support that was available all along. And once you understand that, the next right becomes even more powerful. 7. You are allowed to slow the entire process down. Airports love speed. Everything about them is designed to make you feel like you should already be moving. The line moves. The bins move. The boarding groups move. People behind you move. And before long, you're moving fast too, even if your body is telling you not to. That is where mistakes happen. Missed items, forgotten documents, pain you ignore until it gets worse, stress that builds quietly until the whole trip feels heavier than it should. But here's the part many seniors never fully realize. You are allowed to slow things down. You can pause. You can ask someone to repeat instructions. You can take a moment at security. You can board without rushing yourself into clumsy, painful movement, just because everyone else wants to get on quickly. The pressure is real, but a lot of it is social, not official. That distinction matters, because once you stop treating the airport's speed like a law, you stop letting it control your body, your breathing, and your decisions. And for many older travelers, that one realization changes everything. Not just comfort, judgment. If even one of these made you think, I didn't know that, that's exactly why most people struggle through airports. Subscribe so you don't. 6. You can ask for help between gates. A lot of people think assistance is only for check-in, or only for boarding, or only for wheelchair passengers, so they get dropped into the middle of a connection, and suddenly they're alone in the hardest part. That's where airports become overwhelming. The signs start blurring together. The gate numbers feel farther apart than expected. Time gets tight. You see escalators, train signs, split corridors, crowds moving in different directions, and now the trip isn't just tiring. It's confusing. This is one of the most underused travel rights seniors can ask for. Help between gates. Especially in large airports, assistance can continue through connections if you request it. That matters more than people realize, because the connection is where fatigue, confusion, and time pressure all combine at once. And that combination is dangerous. Not dramatic dangerous. Missed flight, panic, wrong turn, bad fall, exhaustion before the next flight even begins. The airport doesn't feel complicated until it suddenly does. That's why this right matters so much. It doesn't just save energy, it prevents the exact kind of stressful airport moment older travelers remember for all the wrong reasons. And strangely enough, one of the most forgotten rights has nothing to do with walking at all. Airports feel manageable, right up until one small difficulty turns into 3 at once, and then everything speeds up. 5. You can ask to change your seat after booking. Most travelers treat their seat assignment like a finished decision. The moment they book it, they mentally lock it in. If it's not ideal, they just live with it. That habit costs older travelers more comfort than they realize. Maybe the seat is too far back. Maybe it makes getting in and out harder. Maybe the position increases stiffness, pressure, or simply makes the whole flight feel more difficult than it needs to be. And yet people stay silent because they assume changing it means extra fees, conflict, or a flat no. Not always. If the request is tied to comfort, access, or physical difficulty, it is worth asking. Not demanding. Asking. Calmly, clearly, early if possible. That matters because a better seat doesn't just improve the flight. It changes boarding, sitting, standing, and exiting. One adjustment can improve multiple stages of the trip. And most seniors never test that possibility. They assume fixed means final. But travel systems are often more flexible than they appear, especially when the request makes practical sense. The real mistake is not hearing no. The real mistake is never asking and spending the whole flight paying for it with your body. 4. You don't have to join the rush to get off the plane. Landing creates one of the strangest moments in air travel. The seatbelt sign turns off, and suddenly everyone acts like the first person into the aisle wins something. People stand too soon. Bags start shifting. The aisle tightens. Pressure builds. For seniors, this can be one of the most physically awkward moments of the whole trip, and yet many older travelers respond the same way. They stand up too, even if it hurts, even if balance feels shaky, even if there's nowhere to go. Why? Because everyone else is doing it. Because staying seated feels like being behind. It isn't. You do not have to join the rush. You are allowed to remain seated. You are allowed to wait for space. You are allowed to let the crowd clear before standing, moving, or retrieving anything. That matters because rushed deplaning creates the exact kind of unstable, cramped movement that older bodies handle worst. This is one of those rights that doesn't sound dramatic until you picture the alternative. A crowded aisle, twisting to reach a bag, people pressing from behind, feet not planted properly, balance off for 1 second. That's all it takes. And that leads straight into something many seniors struggle through in silence. 3. You can ask for help with your carry-on. This is one of the most common "I'll just do it myself" mistakes older travelers make. The overhead bin opens. The bag feels heavier than expected. Shoulders tighten. Balance shifts. And instead of asking for help, many seniors try to push through the moment quietly so they don't feel like a burden. That instinct is understandable. It is also risky because the strain doesn't announce itself dramatically. It shows up as a pulled shoulder, a sharp twinge, a slip in balance, a movement that goes slightly wrong in a tight space full of other people. And once that happens, the trip changes. Crew assistance with carry-ons is something many people never even think to request. They just assume the burden is theirs. But when lifting or retrieving your bag becomes difficult, asking for help is not making trouble. It is preventing trouble. That's the real shift. A lot of seniors are not struggling because travel is impossible. They're struggling because they keep trying to prove they can still do every part alone. And this is where that mindset starts to cost something physical. Not pride, pain. A lot of travel problems don't begin with big emergencies. They begin with small, avoidable strain and one quiet decision to just manage. 2. If you miss a flight, you can still ask for priority help. Missing a connection can make even experienced travelers feel instantly helpless. The board changes. The line forms. Everyone around you looks stressed. And suddenly, it feels like your only option is to stand there, wait your turn, and hope the system eventually reaches you. That feeling is exactly what makes this ride so overlooked. If a missed flight creates added difficulty for you, especially as an older traveler dealing with mobility or fatigue issues, you can still ask for faster assistance when being rebooked. Not demand it, not assume it. Ask for it. That distinction matters because the moment many seniors hear "not guaranteed," they mentally drop the option. But not guaranteed does not mean not possible. And in a stressful airport moment, possible matters. What most people do is surrender to the line. What smart travelers do is explain the situation clearly. That one move can change how staff respond. And even when the outcome is not perfect, asking creates a chance. Staying silent does not. In stressful travel moments, the biggest mistake is assuming the system has already decided everything. Sometimes it hasn't. Sometimes it's just waiting for someone to speak. And all of this points to one final truth that ties the whole airport together. 1. Nobody tells you you have to ask. This is the real reason so many seniors miss these rights. Not because the options are rare. Not because airports refuse to help. Not even because the rules are impossible to understand. It's because almost none of this is explained at the moment people actually need it. You're not greeted with, "Here are the adjustments available to make this easier on your body." You're not handed a simple list. You're not walked through your choices. You are placed inside a moving system, and unless you interrupt that system with a request, it treats you like everyone else. That is the hidden rule behind the hidden rights. If you wait to be told, you will miss most of them. If you wait to be offered, you will miss even more. And that is why this topic matters. Because the real advantage is not just knowing these rights exist. It's understanding the pattern behind them. Airports are built around defaults. Comfort only appears when you ask for something outside the default. Once you understand that, you stop moving through travel like someone being carried along by the process. You start moving like someone who knows the process can bend. And that changes everything. That senior in the security line didn't struggle because travel is hard. She struggled because no one told her she didn't have to. And now you know. So the next time you're in that moment, don't just go through it. Change it.